Hello and welcome everyone. We've got two really fun cards with a new release from Spellbinders that is called Shiny New Day, and we're going to be working with the collection of products, and I have got all of them right here. So this here is showing you all of the different elements. We've got the embossing folder, which is called Suds and Buds, and you've got two different panels on there. We're going to be using them both. We've also got the Petal Fresh, which are the floral dies that are in the collection, and then we also have the Squeaky Clean, which are all of the cleaning things. We've got a mop, a dust broom, we've got a bucket, a sponge, and we have got the Shiny New Day sentiments, and we're going to be working with this whole collection and creating two really fun cards. So we've got lots of fun sentiments. Hello, new day, your breath of fresh air, sending buckets of happy. Now here I have taken and embossed a panel, a white panel, and I used the bubbles side of the 3D embossing folder, and I put a little blue ink down on there. I'm just bringing in a little mat. We're going to do a lot of assembly. We've got a lot of die cut pieces. You can see I've got them all laying in my tray. I actually have more than I need. We're going to do two cards. And I do have some spare bits and pieces left over when I got done, simply because I just wasn't sure what I was going to use with all my pieces. So I just did lots of die cutting and did a variety of different colors of my die cutting so that I would have some options. So we've got the handle to the bucket here. I'm just going to put it to where it is kind of hanging off the front of it. And I have got the gloves. These are your dish gloves or your cleaning gloves or whatever. And I actually had those in, I don't know, 2 or 3 different colors in my bin, maybe 2. The chiffon and then the blue color as well. I'm using Spellbinders cardstock, and I've got chiffon, Bellini, and I've got Breeze is the blue color that I'm using. And we're just going to get the gloves laid on here. And if you lay them along the bucket on their cut line, it looks like they are draped over the bucket, just like you would do with wet gloves when you're done. You would just hang them over the bucket. So there's a little decorative handle here, and I'm just going to get it laid down on our bucket, and it just adds just that extra detail that Spellbinders always does. I put a little bit more glue on the back side of my bucket handle. And now I'm going to bring in, this is like a Swiffer duster mop is what this is. And it's got your background layer, which I've done in some gray cardstock. And then I have got the Bellini in the middle piece, and then chiffon in this. And the chiffon has got all of the little cuts and grooves. If you've got one of these sweepers, you are familiar with the way it looks, and it looks remarkably like it. So I'm just going to get it pressed down, and we've got some other decorative elements here as well. I had to grab my crafty tool with the wax tip so that I could pick up these bits and pieces. So I've got so many things in my little tray there that I'm having a hard time getting a hold of them. So I'm putting the decorative piece on the top of the broom, and then the handle. You won't actually see this because I'm going to wind up sticking it behind my bucket, but we're getting all the pieces on there. Just taking my glue eraser and cleaning up some glue. And next we have got our mop. And there's 2 layers to the brush or the mop portion of it. You've got 2 panels, one that adds the kind of the mop string dimension and then the background. And I'm just using Bellini and chiffon for that. And we're going to use another gray handle for our mop. And we're going to get it laid down on there. And then there is a decorative piece for it as well. So I've got the gray there, and I'm going to bring in some of the Bellini and lay it down on there, and we've got the decorative piece. And then there is a small little piece for the top of the handle too. And it's even got the little hole in it so that if you would hang your mop from a nail in the closet, it's got the little hole there for that. Super, super detailed. Now this is a little scrub brush, and I've brought in another blue from Spellbinders. I think it's, let me see, maybe Malibu. Oh, no, it's Cascade. And then I've got a gray handle that I'm putting on it, and I'm just going to get it assembled. And then we've got another Cascade and Breeze. We've got the sponge. I've got 2 tones there, and there are some little holes cut out of there so that you've got the dimension of the sponge. Super, super cute set. Now here's a spray bottle, and it's got the label, and it's got real nice details so that you can attach it. Just such a fun set. I'm just digging around and seeing what else I've got in here. There is a decorative piece for the nozzle so that you can have a two-tone on it, and I had die cut it out in gray. I actually had it in chiffon too. I'll notice that later, but anyway, I'm going to lay the gray piece on there. And you can see I've got just kind of a color scheme going. We've got the blues, the chiffon, Bellini, and the grays. And we're just kind of keeping everything in that scheme. Now here's like a squeeze bottle, and it's got a label on it as well. And then this brush is so cute. I die cut it out, the base of it in the blue, and then I die cut it out in white. I die cut it out in gray. I just kept going because I wasn't sure how I wanted to put it together, but I like the blue and white paired. And then I'm going to put the chiffon handle on it. And so it's just got some cute color to it. And it is super cute. I mean, it looks just like a scrub brush I have at home. I mean, they have gotten all the details. Now, here is another one. I'm just showing you. I've got another one in there. We're going to use that for the other card. And we're going to have 2 fun cards and use just all of the products so I can give you an example of the whole collection. So I'm just taking a Breeze panel, and it's just an A2 panel. And then we've got my 3D embossed panel, and I cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to cut this Breeze down to 4 by 5 1/4, and we'll have a white frame around there. And so it's going to look like we've got 3 layers to our base, and we're just going to get them layered up. I'm going to push all these things and get this mat out of here. I really should have brought it back in when I do the second card because there's a lot of gluing, but I don't. Anyway, we'll get this Breeze panel laid down on there. Then we'll add our 3D embossed panel on there. So let's have a little story time as I'm getting this assembled. Today was Mother's Day, so we had church, and then I had a gathering at my house, had a bunch of people over. We had a Mother's Day meal, and it was fantastic. Just a really good group of people. And we really enjoyed. We had some wonderful food. I had made ham and sweet potato casserole, and I made some scalloped corn. And then my mom brought in some mac and cheese. One of my daughters brought in deviled eggs, poke cake, and what else did she? Oh, and a cheese ball. And then one of my guests brought in a 7-layer salad, and then my sister brought in some dinner rolls and some tea. So we had a really, really nice meal. It was a beautiful day. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at all that detail. And I just took my blending brush and put some blue down on there. And then everybody enjoyed visiting. The kids played and everything. Then when everybody left, I spent the rest of the afternoon outside planting and just working in the yard and separating plants and moving them around. And I did a strawberry bed and just had a really wonderful afternoon. So then I wanted to come back in and get these cards assembled. So I'm just kind of dry fitting, trying to figure out where I want everything to go and how it's all going to fit on this card. And then we're going to lift them all up and we'll get them laid down. I just kind of wanted to get a feel for, do I have too much for this A2 size panel? But I don't, and it will all fit. So I decided to get this mop laid down on there first, and then we could start assembling the rest of it. We had just beautiful weather. I actually had on shorts and a tank top out there working in the yard, and it was lovely. But I will tell you, it cooled off quite a bit. When I got done working in the yard, we actually went to play some games next door. We wound up playing aggravation and euchre. And then when we came home, it was chilly. I mean, it had really gotten chilly, and I had left the craft room window open, so I had to hurry up and get it closed because the temperature had dropped significantly, and I really didn't want the house to cool off so we wouldn't have to turn the heat on. Anyway, and so then I decided to sit down and do the voiceover. So I'm going to get all of these bits and pieces laid down here, and we're going to have them kind of sticking out of the bucket. This is kind of how they had it on the packaging, and I just kind of flipped it the direction of it. But it's very similar to how they have it assembled on the packaging. Sometimes when you don't know how to assemble it, you can just kind of look and see how they've displayed it. I know I did a little bit different, but just to kind of give you an idea. So I'm getting these laid down on here, and I thought I'm just going to stick some foam tape to just hold these pieces on there, and that way I won't have to worry about waiting for the glue to dry. I want to pop this up anyway, and we'll use this, get it laid down on there, and then we can start layering all of our pieces on there. So last year I put some strawberries out, but they just did not, I don't know, they didn't thrive. So this year my oldest daughter was picking up some veggies and stuff. We'd already done ours, and Pat had asked her to pick up a couple more things since she was running out to do it. And so I said, hey, if you get strawberries, if you pick up some strawberries for me. So she got me a good supply of that. And so I just built a new bed this year and got them out. And that's what I did today. And then Pat helped me. We actually caged the top of it so the birds wouldn't eat them all up. And I got that going. So I'm hopeful that I'll have a few more strawberries this year than I had last year. So I'm really excited about that. But just thrilled to be able to get out and do some planting. We never plant before Mother's Day in Indiana. You're just too much of a risk for frost. So I'm giving that a press and cleaning it up. And I think it's super cute. It's coming together. Now, I could have zoomed in a little bit more for you, but the pictures in the end will give you a real good close-up. Now, this is the scrub brush, and I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to put it. And so I actually decided that I am going to tuck it kind of underneath this bucket here, and I'll just kind of angle it a little bit. So sometimes you just have to move things around and just figure out where you want to put them. I just think it's so cute. I love the handle. I love the bristle look. They've got so much deboss detail in there. It just makes it super cute. So this card is assembled. We're going to come back in and do our sentiments at the same time. I'm going to do all of my assembly, and then we'll come back in. Now we're going to use the other side of the panel, and this is the floral portion of it, and we're going to use that for this card. And I guess it's the bud portion. The embossing folder is called Suds and Buds. So this is the bud portion of it. And it's got a cute pattern on it. Super cute. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? And so this is the base for our next one. And so I'm going to bring in this other die that I have. And it's a relatively new one. It's called Decorative Lattice. And I just brought my Breeze in and die cut out a panel with it, and we're going to get this laid down on here. This is going to be the landing zone for our next card, where we're going to use that other mop bucket, and we're going to assemble. We're going to put it down on here, and then we'll bring in all of our floral elements that are the Petal Fresh collection of this set. And so we're going to bring that die set in. So we've got a nice little landing zone there. We've got our bucket, and I've got my wild hair in the camera. And I'm just going to lay this chiffon down on the top. Actually, this is Bellini. It's the darker color on the top of our bucket. And then we're going to start assembling all of our flowers. And some of these flowers are a little bit tricky, so I encourage you to go on to Spellbinders' website and get the assembly guide so that you can assemble these flowers. I had to pause a minute. Some of them are very simple. They're just the florals with the circles in the center of them. And then some of them have multiple layers. And I've die cut out so many pieces of them that I kind of did myself a little bit of a disservice trying to figure out what goes with what. But I'll get some of them put together. I actually went off camera. I paused for a little bit and looked at them. I was trying to figure out how to put them together. And some of them look close to others. I actually hollered at my husband and said, come in here and help me. Help me put these together. He wasn't much help. He looked at them for a little bit and kind of gave me an idea, and then he went out, and then I got them assembled. And I won't even use all of them because I have more than I need because I did a whole bunch of die cutting. So I'm just figuring out which centers I want to use on what pieces so that they'll kind of pop the best. And so I'm just kind of laying them out. And we're going to get to assembling these. And I think I actually speed it up as we get going. But you can see I've got the leafy elements in gray and in white. I've brought in some blue, some lighter blue, some darker blue, and I've used both the Bellini and the chiffon to get all the different colors, and we're going to get these assembled. Now this is where I've sped it up a little bit because there is just a whole lot of assembly going on here, and just getting the centers to the flowers and figuring out, what I'm going to use and how I'm going to position it. And this one I think has 3 layers. I've got the chiffon, the white, and then I brought chiffon back in. And this is where I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure out how they go, and then I'll pause and come back in and figure it out. So I came back in and I thought, assemble the things you know. So there are some florals that are going to go on these white stems. And so once I get my glue going, we're just going to get them laid down really quickly. And you can see I've kind of layered the flowers up how I think they go. And so then we'll get to assembling those. And I'm just going to get all of these little buds laid down on here. And then we'll get the others assembled. And I'm just going to start gluing things down. I just kind of laid them how I think they went, and then we're just going to layer them up. And we're going to have a variety of florals with this. Now, I think this one was one of the trickier ones, just because there's multiple layers. And some of them look similar. Some of the pieces look similar. This one has a real fine strip that goes along it. And it kind of, there's a V in the white one that I laid down. And then you've got another one that goes with it that kind of layers right up next to it. And so it really depends on what colors you use. And there was no rhyme or reason to what I was die cutting stuff out with. I was just doing, some white, some Bellini, some chiffon, some gray, just really just die cutting away. I actually did the die cutting on a separate day. A lot of times I'll just take and die cut a bunch of projects out, put them in trays, lay them aside, and then come back to them. And sometimes I'll just use scraps and just try to use my scraps and see what I can come up with. But I just kind of had this color scheme with the gray, the blue, and the chiffon, and I thought it looked pretty together. But I wasn't sure, when I was die cutting everything out, how it was going to be assembled. But it all comes together, and I'm just going to keep tucking just different flowers, and we're going to get this bucket full. Now, I just think it's fun that you can use, you've got the mop bucket with all the cleaning supplies, and then I'm just turning this into a planter is what I'm doing here. I didn't, include the handle, and I'm just making a big planter, and I've got some lattice behind it, and we're just going to tuck a bunch of flowers in, and you've got a whole different look with this. And, it's all part of one collection, and you can just, make a completely different looking card using some of the elements from, I guess both sets. So I'm just going to tuck some of these flowers in, just build them up, and just keep going. So I got some really fun gifts for Mother's Day. My daughters are such great gift givers. Anyway, my oldest daughter had ordered a book that was from my grandsons that had the cutest little story. It was all about Nanner and Weston and Gunner, and it was so cute. And it had little pictures, and it was darling. And then my youngest daughter from Logan and Wyatt had gotten me a Nana wind chime, and I love it. I hung it out on the swing that is just right outside my craft room window. And of course it was nice out today, so I had the window open, and the breeze started to blow, and I could just hear it, and it was so sweet. And then Pat had got me a hanging basket, and I got a couple gift cards. But anyway, it was a really, really beautiful Mother's Day, and we had a really nice time with the group that we had join us. So I hope that you all had a happy Mother's Day, and that you had a beautiful day. So now I'm going to bring in the sentiments. I assembled the cards completely and didn't even think about the sentiments. And so I'm going to bring in the sentiments, and I have stamped them once, and I decided you can see the one is dirty, and then I am bringing it back in so that I can video it and show you what we're going to do. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to use. I will wind up using Thanks for All You Do for the cleaning one, and then I'm going to use Sending Buckets of Happy for the floral one. And I was thinking that one of my daughters could use this thanks for all you do for their cleaning ladies. They both have cleaning ladies, and I thought maybe one of them might want to use it for their cleaning ladies. And then the sending of buckets of happy, I thought could be for anything. So I'm just going to give it a good press. And then, and I'm using the sending buckets of happy, and I'm going to decide that that's not what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get a die and die cut them out, and I'm not going to use that one. I know that I'm not going to use that because I'm going to stamp it directly on our bucket. And so I'm just going to use a die. This is from my stash. I don't even know the set that it's with. It's actually Documenting Labels is the set that I use that little die from. And we're going to stick that on our cleaning card. And it's just a real nice shape, and it fit perfectly with the Thanks for All We Can Do. I'm going to pop it up and get it laid down on there. And then I laid that other one aside. I'm not going to, because decided I wanted to stamp directly on there. So I'm just going to bring in my mini Misty, and we'll get it laid down on there. And then we're going to add our sentiment. Now I had to take the foam out because I've got a lot of dimension on there, so I don't need that. And then I made sure I got that stamp really clean because I did stamp it on that white panel, but I cleaned it and dried it really well so I didn't mess up my bucket. And then I'm just going to bring in my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I just re-inked it, so I was a little bit nervous about it, but it did stamp really nice, and it's going to work very well. So I was real pleased with that. So there we've got both of our sentiments on there, and I think they're super cute. I hope you like them. If you do, if you would consider giving me a like, I would greatly appreciate it. Here's a close-up picture of it. I've got a couple angles of both of them, and I think they're super fun. It's a great collection. I've linked all the materials in the description box below so that you can check it out. And if you'll shop with those links, it's very helpful to me. And if you liked it, please consider giving a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.